And she was so upset about the fact that her high school granddaughter, who was an athlete, very active socially, had ended up in an inpatient psych institution with almost incurable bulimia because she had been body shamed by her peers repeatedly for the last.
Don't come with that concern. They usually come with a suicidal ideation, usually come with the low self-esteem, usually come with anger, irritability. But once you explore, these things come very often, so I'm not surprised.
Unfortunately, this problem of body shaming is on the rise. This is my 20th year being a professor at Kinnaird College. And like you rightly mentioned, I deal with girls day in, day out. And not just the students at Kinnaird College, I have a teenager right with me who once came back home literally crying because he's slightly tan. And I always, I grew up with the notion that tall, dark, handsome is something that we associate men with, right? But he was bullied for the for the complexion that he has. So when they come to the classroom, I look at their brains. I need to judge them on their intellectual ability rather than what waist size they're boasting or what height that they're boasting.
This needs to start in your house. Your mother and your father need to put that much stress on education, charity, and religion, and being able to have a conversation with somebody, taking you out, giving you that exposure, that you do not associate your confidence with your body. Who are also going to school and college associate their self-worth with strange men and women clapping when they are half naked.
And at a young age, for parents to create an environment where kids can be comfortable, no matter what they look like, right?
And no one talks about self-compassion. I mean, I was very impressed with Madam Zubda. I mean, what you said, you accept who you are. And I think the self-compassion is not there in the strategies that we use. For what the self-compassion mean is that, let's say, that accepting that this is who I am.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Amina from New Wave. Today, I'm going to be discussing a very challenging topic. I'm sure you must have all seen it or come across it in your everyday life, but I don't know how much you've actually delved into it, highlighted it, or how much of it is actually being discussed in social circles. Today, I'll be discussing body shaming among young adults and adolescents. I am actually fortunate enough to have a panel from across 2 countries today who will be participating in that discussion. I will introduce them to you one by one. I have Dr. Zeeshan, Mohammed Zeeshan, who is an adolescent and child psychiatrist in Rutgers University, New Jersey, USA. Welcome, Dr. Zeeshan. I have, and thank you for joining us on a Sunday morning on a Memorial Day weekend. Thank you so much. Nadia Qureshi, who is a nutritionist by profession, but she also has a very long background in IT, financing. But right now she's working. She switched her careers actually to become a holistic nutritionist, and who has a firm belief that nutrition just doesn't entail healthy diet. And if it's done correctly, it can actually be a cure for a lot of chronic diseases, a lot of chronic problems. Welcome, Nadia. Again, thank you for joining us. Next. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, I have Amina Salman, who is actually joining us from Pakistan. And she is a fashion blogger, a fashion connoisseur, and who would help us understand what the fashion and industry's contribution to this whole body shaming phenomena is. Thank you again, Amina. I know you were a last minute participant, but thank you for agreeing to jump in. I really appreciate it. And lastly, but not the least, we go back a long way. Zubda, Miss Zubda Zia. We actually went to school together. We went to college together, and we're actually connecting after a long time. So thank you, Zubda. Actually, she's the one who triggered this whole conversation. She's actually head of economics department at Kinnaird College Lahore, Pakistan, and is a firm advocate of being totally cool, being totally okay with the body image that you have, being comfortable in your own body. And I think that's a very, very important message that we want to send across today. So
Thank you.
all
Thank you,
right,
Amina.
thank you everyone again. So I'll jump right in. I'll start off by what actually kind of got this thought process starting in my head was that the other day I was seeing one of my patients, and she was so upset about the fact that her high school granddaughter, who was an athlete, very active socially, had ended up in an inpatient psych institution with almost incurable bulimia because she had been body shamed by her peers repeatedly for the last few years. So that was heartbreaking for me. And I started delving into the prevalence of body shaming all over. And it seems like at least 90% of adolescent girls, 90 to 95% of adolescent girls are body shamed or bullied about their body image at least once in their high school years, or they have suffered from that. And the statistic is pretty horrible for the boys. It's the same. If you look across the world, it comes down to like 40%, but teenagers, adolescents have been body shamed for one reason or another, obesity being the major one of them. So I will start off with Dr. Zeeshan, actually. I'm sorry, I'm picking up on you first, but I feel like that you probably have the most objective measure of how prevalent this is, and how often do you see it in youth and adolescents?
No, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. So in my clinic practice, both in my clinic and also at a university hospital, it's a very common phenomena. Many times, especially in my practice, people don't come with that concern. They usually come with a suicidal ideation, usually come with the low self-esteem, usually come with anger, irritability. But once you explore, these things come very often. So I'm not surprised with the statistic that you have mentioned. And here in US, body shaming, especially in our South Asian children. So one thing that is along with the body weight that you mentioned, that what I am seeing, especially in boys, their skin color, not only the skin color, it's about their weight, height. That is another common concern that I have been seeing. So I'm not surprised with the statistics, actually.
Okay, so obviously it's not something that's made up. It's prevalent. It's existing in the society, and it's affecting the mental health of the children or the youth. Zubda, you are very closely related to girls of this age, right? You're in contact with them day in and day out. So I think your perspective is actually very important because you're within the community. Dr. Zeeshan is seeing patients, right? You're seeing the community. I'm sure you're hearing conversations. How prevalent is this in where you are at from your perspective?
First of all, Amna, thank you very much for this initiative. I really appreciate. I totally agree with what Dr. Zeeshan just said. Unfortunately, this problem of body shaming is on the rise. This is my 20th year being a professor at Kinnaird College. And like you rightly mentioned, I deal with girls day in, day out. And not just the students at Kinnaird College. I have a teenager right with me, who once came back home literally crying because he's slightly tan. And I always, I grew up with the notion that tall, dark, handsome is something that we associate men with, right? But he was bullied for the color complexion, for the complexion that he has. And for me, it was unnerving. And for me, or for somebody like me who's been struggling with weight all my life, I thought that we need to start talking about it. We need to start owning ourselves. We need to start respecting ourselves. And this is what exactly I keep telling my girls as well, that there's a human being, there's a soul beyond what's obvious. And unfortunately, we as a society have made the girls internalize this factor that your exterior is what matters. The kind of clothes that you put on, the weight that you have, the stipulated weight. And Amna Salman would be, discussing more about it, how the fashion industry has basically contributed to this particular, appropriate or the suitable weights that a girl has to have in order to be accepted. Now, for me, that idea of being accepted again is very disturbing. I need to accept, if I accept myself the way I am, I'm a big woman. And I love myself being big because I've struggled with weight. Trust me, the minute I was born, I was a big baby. And I was repeatedly told that for a girl to fit into all those, for a girl to tick all those boxes in the checklist, you need to lose weight. And I actually complied with that notion as well. And I ended up being unhappy, Amina. I love food. My life revolves around food. Now, I would not be, negating what Dr. Nadia Qureshi has to say. I totally believe that you need to have a healthy diet. Nothing with, I'm not against it. But if food makes me happy, and if I'm savvy of the fact that I have a healthy body and I'm not really going beyond what's needed by my body, I don't need the whole society to be telling me that I've gained weight, or if I'm looking ugly, or if I need to lose weight, or if I do not look my appropriate weight. Students, when they come to the classroom, I look at their brains. I need to judge them on their intellectual ability rather than what waist size they're boasting, or what height that they're boasting, or what their complexion is. Because unfortunately, we as a society have stopped looking at the brains, at the values, at the character that a person has. And Anna, you'd agree with us that we went to Sacred Heart Convent, and if you remember, Sister Martin would, she would emphasize the importance of values day in and day out. Character was of, utmost importance.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, in this rat race, that character has disappeared somewhere. So somebody looks pretty, and she's looking pretty because she
I
wants to be
know.
accepted by someone. I think it's very demeaning. For me as a person, it's demeaning.
I totally agree with you. And thank you for providing a perfect segue for me to go and talk to Amina about, what's the role of fashion industry? This false body image of supermodels, of, these skinny size zeros, double zeros. What is it doing to all these girls out there? They're trying to achieve the impossible. What you see on Instagram, what you see on Facebook, or whatever other means of social media are available out there, that's not even real, but that's being portrayed as the hallmark of beauty, of, something that the girls have to achieve, at the risk of repeating myself at what Zubda said, to meet that imperfect
To
standard
be
of,
accepted.
yeah.
Yeah. So I want to start with just the idea that we should really differentiate between what's happening in Pakistan and what's happening in the West. In the West, Dr. Zeeshan said, they even have tools to deal with this. We don't have the tools. Our adolescent girls and our teenagers don't have the tools. Like Zubda said, she had the notion of tall, dark, and handsome. So that again is a notion that starts from at the very beginning, which brings me to the point, which is what I was discussing with Zubda earlier also in the day, is this needs to start in your house. Your mother and your father need to put that much stress on education, charity, and religion, and being able to have a conversation with somebody, taking you out, giving you that exposure, that you do not associate your confidence with your body. Now, fashion is playing a very big role in it, but I'll have to again be very intrinsic to where I'm sitting. I'm sitting in Lahore, Pakistan, and I feel like as much fashion is playing a role, it is the very big luxury weddings in our society where kids who are like 12 and 13 and half naked and they're dancing on these songs which have the worst lyrics possible. Now, I'm no one to judge, but the thing is that these girls who are also going to school and college associate their self-worth with strange men and women clapping when they are half naked. So it's like a vicious cycle that keeps on giving. They go to school, they go to college, they go to home. There is no place right now which is giving them that confidence. I have a head covering, and I'm a fashion blogger. I have never shared my face in a blog or anywhere, and I would just be safely say that I am the pioneer in this. I started this since 2008. Now, where do I get that confidence of just being myself and having having ability to even deflect what fashion wants me to do? It's my parents. It's the house I grew up in. It's the family I have. And unfortunately, yes, everybody doesn't have. Now, to come to a point as to what fixes this, I feel like every time a celebrity comes on Instagram or Twitter and shares a picture or a video of them without makeup, and without these editing, it creates a very, very big wave of comfort for everyone who's watching it. Every time a designer is inclusive, now I don't know if I can take a name, like, but we have Khadi and It's a Giant. So they did this entire campaign with somewhat heavy models. I don't like the word plus size because everybody is a good size, nobody's plus or minus, right? But if you go to their store, their sizing stops at 14, which is like a 12 in the UK sizing. If you go online, Amina, they do not have hip sizes in their size chart. What did we just lose a limb? Do I not have hips? So there is this, I think the awareness is coming in our fashion industry, in everything. We're very premature, but we're very eager to be mature. We're very eager to be with, stand next to West. But, especially with Dr. Zeeshan, I just want to reiterate, we do not have the tools.
Okay.
We are going to shambles, and the fashion industry, sorry, of course, has got a huge part to play in it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that insight. Moving on to Nadia. So I think you are an extremely important piece of this whole conversation, because I feel like that nutrition obviously has a lot to do, like Zubda alluded to it too. We obviously all need to eat healthy, but then I feel like that this nutrition industry is kind of feeding off of this whole thing, right? Every day you see this new diet coming out, which is supposed to be the holy grail, which is supposed to fix everything. And it's and again, the same population is being targeted, and they're going uh, from one diet to another, and then obviously we know nothing's the holy grail, and it's not working for them, and they're becoming more and more and more frustrated by the day. And I think it's becoming more and more challenging for them to know what's out there, what to follow, what not to follow. And I'm sure you deal with this on a regular basis. What's your take on this?
So I guess I would have to say, like, I know we were talking earlier about body shaming and how it starts at a young age, right? So I think, starting off, like, the current obsession, like, as adults, the current obsession with nutrition and diets, it starts, the foundation really starts when we're much younger. And I think it's really important at a young age for, parents to create an environment where kids can be comfortable, no matter what they look like, right? And I think that that's a really important foundation. Unfortunately, these days, social media has become, 8-year-olds have phones these days, right? So it's becoming harder for, parents can do what they can, but it's also, between TikTok and Instagram and all these things, it's becoming really difficult to control their environments as much, right? So, but I think that foundation should begin at a young age. Now, in terms of as adults or as young adults, I think that it's important to kind of to be comfortable with yourself, right? Obviously, nutrition is really important, having a healthy diet, but the problem is there's so much misinformation out there. And it's really confusing to know, like, what's right? Like in the 90s, for example, everyone was everyone is all about, like, low fat diets, right? And then we found out years later that was not that wasn't right. And actually fat is really important to have in your diet. So these things are always going to change. I think the bottom line is just to be comfortable in yourself, do the best you can. And I think that that is, when it comes to nutrition, like there's always going to be new diets and new, all these new things. But I think, and I don't really know the answer in terms of how do we, decrease the amount of body shaming, body obsession, I would say, in the media, because I do think that the media does play a big part in it. And I have seen a shift in the last couple of years. I have seen a lot more of body positivity. There's the musician Lizzo, for example, right? Like she's been a big part of that in terms of body positivity. And I think that that's a really great shift, but I think it's going to take time for that to become the norm in terms of people just being happy with, what they look like.
Okay, yeah, that's, thank you for that. Dr. Zeeshan, coming back to you, sorry. So what kind of mental illnesses do you actually see? Is it, because I've been reading that there's a body dysmorphic disorder, it generates depression, anxiety, bulimia. So, and do you think that body shaming is actually a direct cause of all of these? And, is it actually becoming debilitating for teenagers affected or, young people affected by this?
I mean, so the last part is pretty easy for me to answer. The first part is a bit complicated. I think the last part, is it debilitating? Yes, it's significantly debilitating. Like I have significant amount of, children, teenagers, both boys and girls. I mean, so one patient I still have, I mean, she's unable to take off the face mask for over 3 years because
Wow.
she believed that her nose, people don't like it. And the comment was, so when I explore it, that one of her cousin, she used to tell, A grade student all the way, one of the best in her school. And since COVID, people start making those and the funny comments, and then after that, she started believing it. So very debilitating for sure. The first question, either these are associated with any, these are causing any mental illness. I think that's a little bit more complex in a way because being a child psychiatrist and also an infant psychiatrist, and I'm glad that Madam Zubda and Amna mentioned about the, this parenting, starting from very early age, how it all starts from home. So when I go through, that history about, being an infant psychiatrist, I start from a pregnancy and all the way, you will find so many factors that are contributing to it. So I see body shaming as a behavior. And then there are so many factors from early that could be parenting, that could be peer pressure, that could be even, the having a depression. So there are so many factors that may contribute to it. So body shaming is associated with depression, anxiety. You can also body dysmorphia. I have seen with the obsessive compulsive, even suicidal ideation, substance use, ADHD, you name it, even with sometimes kids with autism, because and they are very concrete people. So what I would suggest to take it as a behavior and then try to identify the contributing factors, because unless we understand what is happening in that child life, and it's very hard to connect with that child. So one thing, that a lot of you mentioned about, the sense of being belonging, sense of being connected, sense of being who I am, it's hard because we all human, no matter who you are, a child, adult, or grown up, who need, I always share this 5S strategies that we all need these 5 S's to be sense and belong. Everyone want to be seen, want to feel safe, want to feel soothed, want to feel successful, and want to be seen. I mean, these are all human, the human basic needs. But when not our parents, but when our society is not providing those avenues where our boys, girls, teenagers, I mean, they are being seen, safe, soothed. So then they use these avenues to be seen, to feel safe, to feel soothed, to feel connected. Thank you.
So coming back to that, do you think we have enough help and recognition available out there to help these affected individuals?
Unfortunately not. Even a lot of time what I have seen, even in my practice, people are start advising them, start suggesting them, start telling them, what is the right way, what is the wrong way. And no one talks about self-compassion. I mean, I was very impressed with Madam Zubda. I mean, what you said, you accept who you are. And I think the self-compassion is not there in the strategy that we use. For what the self-compassion mean is that, let's say, that accepting that this is who I am. Like, for example, let me give you this example. So I have this another girl, best in the school, in the academic, in the sports, but weight is some of the concern that she brought to me. And I said, whenever those thoughts come, what do? She said, she tried to push those thoughts away. She tried to tell, no, this is not true. And I said, then what happened? She said, then it caused more angry, more frustrated. I said, okay, so whenever those thoughts come, so rather than you distract yourself, rather than you push those thoughts, or you just close your eyes, look inside yourself and tell that part of the body that I'm here to listen to you. You are me. I know that I don't like that part of me, or people don't like it, but you are me. So rather than pushing those thoughts away, rather than confronting, rather than fighting with your own self, I would say just start having self-compassion, just start accepting it. Because once you connect with yourself, it will be easier to not let those thoughts make you believe otherwise.
Okay. Nadia, what do you think? I know, you deal more with chronic diseases and everything, but do you see young adults seeking that kind of help? I mean, even on social occasions, do people come talk to you about, what should be done, what they should be, how they should be dealing with all this?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, usually people will come to me and they'll ask like, oh, what should I be eating? Like, that's usually the main question, like, how do I lose weight? And I feel like, and that's not something that I necessarily specialize in, because like, I really want to help people, reduce inflammation and help with chronic diseases. But yeah, like weight loss is definitely probably one of the number one things that people are always concerned about, because they're always concerned about, what they look like. And I think that there is the psychological part of it that also needs to be dealt with as well when it comes to weight loss. And I do work with other practitioners who focus on anxiety and things like that, which sometimes do go hand in hand.
Okay. And Zubda and Amina, I know you briefly mentioned it, but is there any help available? Is there even recognition of this problem in Pakistan at all?
Amina, if I speak for the organization that I work for, yes, there is recognition. We have a college counselor, we have our psychologist who make it a point to bring such topics up.
Yeah.
So at Kinnaird, yes, we do hear things out, but it's really rampant. So I can't really speak for other colleges and the other institutions, but I feel all the fancy institutions, they do have psychologists. But honestly speaking, Amna, it's not just the part of the psychologist. It's not just the role that has to be played by the psychologist. I totally agree with what Amna Salman just said. It starts at home. I had again, I don't like giving my own examples, but then I have to give my own example because I had a very strong bond with my mother. I remember I would come back home literally in tears because I felt that maybe I'm not as pretty as my, friends at college. Maybe I'm not as fair, but she'd just sit me down and we'd talk about the bigger things in life that I should be focusing at. For example, my career, for example, my studies, for example, how I could basically bring about a change. And so rightly pointed out by Amna, I had that support system at home. And this is exactly what my team, my colleagues at Kinnaird, we try inculcating in our students that you need to start looking beyond the superficial beauty that the industry and the social media platforms have basically chalked out for you. Why are you letting others dictate your destiny? Why are you waiting for others to accept you? Right? But then I feel that the social norms play a huge role in this, in this kind of body shaming that has become so rampant. For example, I used to go to these shadis and birthdays, and if I would have lost weight, so I'd get comments like, "ये घर पे खुश नहीं लगती." अगर मैंने weight gain किया होता, you're ballooning it to somebody that you actually are not. I mean, I never allowed
Nothing makes
anyone.
people happy, right? They're going to
Yes,
comment on you one way or the other.
absolutely.
So it's your
Absolutely.
acceptance of who you are that's actually going to solve the problem for you,
But
right?
then I had to draw the line, Amna. I had to, shut them up very politely that you can't really, step into my domain. Now,
Right.
this is my private line, and I very politely. I do not really advocate cheekiness, but very politely, I had to tell them to back off because I'm not comfortable. And when I'm not comfortable, I do not let the other person feel comfortable as well. But then many years, Amna, I was never this confident. Like I mentioned earlier, I've struggled with weight. I've been on yo-yo diets. Nadia would know what yo-yo diets are. Cutting down on practically everything that would make me happy, and I would go skinny. But I have a big build, and Allah has blessed me with that. And trust me, the moment I just accepted my body. I've never been happier, right? And then I made the people around me accept the way I am. And this is one thing that I would tell my students as well. The teachers, I think after mothers, teachers play a very crucial role. And at least, I deal with approximately 100 students. So I try making it a point that yes, teaching economics is my predominant job, but imparting some knowledge about how to build your self-confidence, I feel that I'm doing my little bit in bringing about a change. And I seriously hope that mothers start acting a little humane. Mothers stop obsessing their children, both boys and girls, with the ideal body size, so they end up getting right proposals and right matches. Trust me, any particular body size does not guarantee a happy marriage. There has to be something here and some empathy here. So that is what the adults these days are missing on. No empathy, no compassion, like Dr. Zeeshan said, we lack on and for the society at large. So I think the psychologists, the teachers, the mothers, and the fathers, of course, the household, we need to work in unison, get rid of this menace.
Thank you, Zubda. I really appreciate what you're saying, and I think you kind of moved into the solution part of it too. We definitely did a good job of recognizing the problem and kind of putting it out there. But that was my last phase of the conversation as to how to deal with it, and your own acceptance, your household acceptance, and then acceptance of the whole thing at a broader scale is definitely one of the solutions that we'd like to advocate for. Going back to all of you, I'd like you to just in a few words say what you think would be the first right step to deal with this. We've recognized it, but what do you think would be at least one thing that we can do as a society, maybe, or as professionals, to help this problem along? Amina, you can go first, and then we'll go to Nadia, and Dr. Zeeshan can probably conclude the conversation.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we have identified two groups of people that are at the forefront of this. That's going to be parents and teachers. Unfortunately, going back to Dr. Zeeshan, and there is not acceptability of mental health problems. The first time I told my husband I needed to see a therapist because my son was going through an open heart operation, he told me, "Kyun hum gore hain? Are we white?" So it takes a while. And this is me. I am an upper strata person who's educated from England and he's educated from America. So acceptability ka bahut issue hai. There's a lot of issue for acceptability. Now, what can we do for the teachers? We need to hire professionals that come and train the teachers. I know in all of my life, teachers have had favorites depending on who's more white, who's more slim. Maybe their mothers are beautiful, maybe they are beautiful. I've experienced that. So we need to go, the government needs to go, we need to go into institutions, and we need to train the teachers first. I cannot tell you the detrimental effects of a teacher not liking you because you're a bit more tan. Now we come to parents. I know a woman in my family who used to put, you know, that Nido, which is like powder milk, in
Okay.
the bathroom for her daughter. And she used to be like, after you wash your face, rub your face with this and then wash it in front of all of us. So you can be a little more fair and score a good match. So we need to somehow teach the parents also to just be kind. You know, kids are dealing with so much already outside, and then you're putting them into these boxes in these positions. So yes, these two groups and a lot of training, just, you know, just to put some sense into them as to how to deal
All
with the
right.
new generation. And it starts with me, starts with us. I'm in my mid 30s, I'm a mother, I have twin boys who are 6-year olds. So, you know, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to attend to it, hopefully.
Thank you. Nadia and Dr. Zeeshan, sorry to push you. You all both have a minute to go.
I would say that one of the things I would say is nutrition education. You know, at a young age, teach children, you know, about fruits and vegetables and all these, you know, healthy things, so that they grow up wanting to eat these things. And I think that that's like a big part of, because these days there's just a lot of miseducation. There's a push towards processed foods. So just, I think that that will help, you know, overall in terms of health and body positivity as well.
Yeah, body positivity, a very important message. Yeah, that's good. Dr. Zeeshan, what do
I
you
mean,
think?
I just want to take few seconds to appreciate all of you for talking about it. And I just realized it was actually a learning experience for me as well. Yes, I see as a psychiatrist, but not in the community. So having, you know, someone from the Kinnaird College, someone in the fashion industry, someone from the nutrition, I think it helps me realize, you know, that how important it is to to just talk about it in generally. So thank you for giving the opportunity. So as a psychiatrist, what I would say, just a warning sign, if anyone is struggling with body shaming and because of that, they have not been able to come to school, college, or they have been feeling sad, down, having suicidal thoughts, or anything that is significantly affecting their social, personal, or academic life, please encourage parents and families to consult a therapist, a nutritionist, and a psychiatrist. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for getting together. I hope this discussion starts something fruitful and positive. Thank you again. Have a good
Thank
rest of the
you.
weekend.
Thank you, Amina.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. अपना ख्याल रखें जी. Allah Hafiz.